Well, it's Monday. Hope everybody's off to a good start, beginning of their new week. And look what we got here. Came in the door yesterday. If you watched my last video, you'll hear me talking about a mandolin I was going to repair. But it turns out I'm not going to repair that mandolin, or at least not in the near future. But I did mention on the last video that a mandolin may very well come in the door. A different one. And as luck would have it, here we are. This mandolin is in desperate need of help. It's a Johnson. Let me get it out on the bench. We're going to talk about saddles, acoustic guitar bridge saddles in this video too, but figured I'd show you this in the process. So let me get this on the bench. I'll show you what's wrong with it. Can you see what's wrong with it? The top has sunk in big time. Big time. Sunk down in bad. It's almost frets out. Well, it does fret out. Even open, it buzzes. Johnson. And it's an MF100 model made in China. And got some serious problems with that top caving in. This whole area that the bridge sets on is sunk down in. Did some damage up under there to the bracing. Man, that's a shame too. So I don't know if the guy wants to fix this or not. Another guy brought it to me, and it belongs to a friend of his. I told him what I would charge to fix it, and a couple of different ways that I could fix it, 2 different prices. And he's going to let his friend know, and then let me know what the friend wants to do. So I'm waiting now. The proper way to fix it would be to take the back off of it, so you can get inside of there and repair that bracing. But the thing is not worth a lot of money. I looked these up, and they're like $300 new. You know, so this one's several years old. The frets look fairly decent on it. It seems like it would sound pretty good if it was, you know, set up right and repaired. The other way, a cheap fix, and I don't like doing it at all, but it would at least make it playable, is to get some measurements down in here and cut dowel pins and brace the top back up, support the top from the bottom or the back. I would cut out a small square thin piece of wood for that dowel pin to set on, so it would transfer that pressure over a bigger area instead of just where the dowel pin hits the back, and then pry it up, you know, enough inside to raise this up just behind the bridge on both sides. Fiddles have a sound post in there. This is kind of the same thing I'm talking about, but that's a bad way to fix this, and it would alter the sound of it tremendously. It'd probably sound like shit if you did that, but it would be better than throwing it away, you know. So I don't know what the guy's going to do, which fix he wants. It's not worth taking the back off and doing all that work, I don't think, you know, unless it has some sentimental value or something. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that. That may be a video in the making here before long, or may not. We may never see it again. But that's a couple of alternatives to making it playable, which it is not right now. So hang on, now we're going to talk about saddles. Kiss this baby goodnight.
Saddles and nuts and strings, oh my.
Yes, sir. We've got a bunch of different types of saddles. That's a Tusk nut right there. I don't know what that's, how that goes in with that stuff. Got some different saddles here, different materials. These are used ones. Some of them I've replaced or taken out of other guitars. Here's a new Tusk saddle. By the way, if you order your saddles from Graphtec, that's who makes this. The number, Graphtec's number, PQ-9110-00, usually will fit about any Martin, D28 Martin. Now, I don't know about 35s and 18s and all these other models that Martin makes, but I do know that that number will fit almost any D28 Martin guitar. You got to take, you know, off of the bottom of it to get your string height. And they make them just a little bit thick this way. So you got to take some off of the sides to get it to fit. You want that saddle to fit down in the bridge slot pretty snug. Not really tight, but tight enough to where, you know, if you turn the guitar upside down and there's no strings on it, the thing doesn't fall out. The tighter it is, you know, the better, up to a point. Like I say, you don't want to get it too tight, and that's very easy to do. But anyway, I wanted to give you that number because if you order from Graphtec and give them that number, chances are all you're going to have to do is get your string height by taking material from the bottom and a little bit from the sides so it'll fit down in the slot. Tusk nuts. I wish I had one out here. Well, here's a Tusk nut. I wish I had a saddle out here. But listen to the difference. This is Tusk. Now this is a nut versus a saddle, but anyways, listen. I hope the camera gets it. Tusk, plastic, plastic, Tusk. A lot of people, I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, and a lot of people says, well, you know, I don't care what it sounds like by doing the drop test. I care what it sounds like on my guitar. Well, that's cool, but a lot of information can be gathered from the so-called drop test. You know, plastic, you know, is a man-made material that's, it's not, they can't make it exactly the same every time, and, you know, throughout the saddle, things change in there, you know, where the Tusk saddles are, you know, man-made ivory that's exactly the same completely throughout the substance of it. I don't know, you know, some people probably will put them in their guitar and not like the sound it produces. They do. It seems like a Tusk saddle will raise whatever the guitar already has. If it's got a lot of bass, it brings more bass up. If it's got a lot of treble, it brings more treble. If it's got a lot of mid-range, it brings more mid-range. It's just whatever the box has. It seems like a Tusk saddle, it's just like bumping that up a notch. Here's a, I think this is actually bone. You really can't tell much about that on it. Maybe this would. Bone and Tusk. Yeah, I can hear that better. Okay. Here's bone. Here's let me do the. Ah, shit. What'd I do with it? Here's the plastic. This is the plastic saddle. Plastic. Okay, here's a bone saddle. Now you can hear that that's a little bit, I don't know, just, it seems to be more of a sound there than this plastic. And here's the Tusk nut. Hear that? Versus plastic. Tusk. Bone. They all, this sounds soft, and it is soft. This sounds harder, and it is harder. And this just sounds like The Tusk sounds like something very hard compared to these two. Now you can get like graphite saddles and brass saddles and metal or whatever. That's too hard of a material, in my opinion. Tusk seems to be just right for acoustic guitars. There's a couple more. This is plastic. It sure sounds like it too. I believe this is plastic also. It sounds the same. Listen to the Tusk now. Can you hear that? One more time. Plastic. Tusk. I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, but hopefully it does and you can hear the difference. And like I say, a lot of information can be gathered from that. I suggest you try a Tusk saddle in your acoustic guitar. If you're an acoustic guitar player, I suggest that you try one of those, one of these. You know, worst case scenario, you can always take it back out and put your old saddle back in if you don't like it. Like I say, you want that to fit snug in the slot. This does a better job carrying the sound and the vibration from the strings into the top, moving that top, than anything else I have ever tried myself. I know several of you YouTube watchers have switched to Tusk saddles, and all of them that I've talked to is pleased with it and going to leave the Tusk saddle in. They're not going back to their old one. So, you know, you owe it to yourself to at least try one of them. You can find them for, I don't know, 8 to 15 bucks, somewhere, you know, in between that. So it's not expensive to try, and I will almost guarantee you that you'll stick with the ivory instead of whatever you're using now. Like I say, whatever the guitar has, it just seems to bump that up, you know, a step better. And some guitars it may be too much for now. It might add, you know, too much treble, or the bass not sound right, or the mid-range be too high, or, you know, depends a lot on guitar. Guitars are like people. Every one of them are different in some way from another. The height of your saddle greatly affects the sound of your guitar. The higher it is, the higher the saddle is, the more string down pressure there's going to be. And this is like having this thing fit in the slot tight. It just carries that sound better with more down pressure and a tighter fit. Plus, you know, the material it's made out of course, is a big plus too. A few more things about saddles that you want to keep in mind if you replace yours with a Tusk or anything else. Like I say, is the taking off the bottom of it to get the right height. You're probably going to maybe change your intonation a little bit if you go far enough with that. That's why I suggest compensated saddles. That number I gave you is a compensated Tusk saddle made by Graphtec. Adjusting it's already adjusted somewhat, compensated somewhat to help with any intonation problems that might arise. You can take small files and get in there and file on that saddle where the string crosses it and make the breaking point just enough to lengthen the string or shorten it and change the intonation. You can also do that on the nut as well, but do it on the saddle first, and if you still have intonation problems, then maybe try to go with adjusting the nut, you know, where the string rests in the nut. Anyways, that's a few things you may run into. Intonation, probably you won't, but like I say, if you raise your action too much or lower it too much from what it is set up at, chances are you will have a little bit of an intonation problem. That's why I suggest a compensated saddle, and you know, and I'm telling you how to file it if the compensation saddle isn't enough to correct your intonation exactly. You can't get it exactly perfect on every guitar every time, but the idea is to get that intonation as close as you can. So if you're in tune, say you hit the high E string open, and then you chime the E string on the 12th fret, should be, you know, an octave higher. Then when you note that E string on the 12th fret, it should be the very same as what the harmonic and the open string is. You can test that with a tuner. I use a Peterson tuner for that, and you can get it exactly, or very close enough the human ear doesn't detect it. From the 12th fret to the saddle, let's say when you note the 12th fret, it's flat, but it's in tune when you hit it open, or the harmonic at the 12th fret is in tune. Just when you note it, it's flat. Okay? That distance from the 12th fret to the saddle, if it's flat, that distance needs to be shorter. That will raise that pitch. So in order to make it shorter, you got to file where the string goes across the saddle, the break angle where it breaks away from the saddle and goes toward the fret has to be, that string has to be shorter. Now if it was sharp, you would want to make the distance longer. You know, you would want to file it totally opposite. You don't have to, like I say, very little bit of filing. You don't want to go deeper into the nut. You just want to create a break angle where the string comes off of the saddle. And that little bit, you know, you can gain a little string, or you make it a little bit shorter and adjust for that intonation problem. So that's just a few things to keep in mind. If you run into, you know, if you try a Tusk saddle and you run into intonation problems, that's one way of getting them out. If you adjust your neck or the truss rod, change your relief on your neck any at all, you're probably going to have to do a little work here to compensate, because your intonation's probably going to be out. I mean, they're a real sensitive son of a bitch. Guitars are. So, you know, every little adjustment like that you make, you have to compensate for it to keep your intonation as close as you possibly can. There's old cue ball. Come to see me, did you, Q? I think y'all met her on a couple other videos, so you know who she is. Come on, get up here. Come on. There you go. Hopscotch. You hot, bud? Is the little girl hot? Yeah, you're hot and foxy, ain't you? Anyways, I'm trying to keep my head in gear here and think as I'm going, so just bear with me. Coming up next on my channel may be that mandolin repair, or it may be a guitar lesson. It could be one of many things, or it could be many things. A whole bunch of things. I'm not really sure yet at this point, but I wanted to get this in about saddles. I've been having a lot of questions in the inbox about saddles, and should I try one, should I not, what's the chance of ruining my guitar. You're not going to ruin your guitar if you try a Tusk saddle in it. I would highly recommend you try it. You owe it to yourself to try one. Like I say, if you don't like it, pop it back out and put the old one back in, and no love lost. Or as a guy I used to work with would say, no law lust, whatever the hell that means. That's what he said. Anyways, one of those will be in the next video. It'll be coming up pretty soon. I'd like to say thank you to my subscribers. Man, you new subscribers.
Good Lord. Woo. Woo. Good heavens.
I've never seen anything like that. Digging it, man. Appreciate it. Keep the subscribers coming. Tell all your friends and family to come to this cast channel and sign up, because there's going to be a lot of good knowledgeable shit come at you this winter. I don't think you want to miss out. And a lot of funny stuff too. You know, if it ain't fun, you shouldn't do it. If it feels good, do it. That comes to mind too. But anyways, thanks every one of you guys and gals for hanging around. I appreciate your support so much, so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hang in there for the good stuff to come, and get you a Tusk saddle, put it in your guitar, and make a video. I want to hear it. The ones, like I say, the YouTube users that have done this have all came back to me and sent me messages saying, hey man, I should have did this a long time ago. One guy even told me he threw his old saddle away. I guess he's never going to go back to it. I think I would have hung on to it. But anyways, that's another story, I guess. Y'all have a good one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Cheers. One more thing. I always forget something, it seems like. In the near future, we are also going to talk about fret buzz and why your frets buzz. Not a video of a fret job, just a conversation. I'm going to show you some things that you probably don't know or haven't thought about or looked at it this way. But that's another thing coming up. I get a lot of questions in inboxes about frets buzzing, and so many things can go wrong and cause that. It's hard to, just say, well, it's got a dent in it, or one fret before it or after it's higher than the other. It can be a lot of stuff. So we're going to have a conversation about understanding fret buzz and how to fix certain problems that arise. Also, I've got a shitload of these. Well, I did have. I've got a few left. Now, I don't have a lot left, but I've got a few guitar stands. You can use those on electric guitars, basses, or whatever. If you need one of those, I'm going to give you one. The first person, the very first one that inboxes me and says they want a guitar stand, I'll get back with you, get your mailing address and everything, and I'll send it to you completely free, because I've got them tripping and falling over them. There's so many. Or was. I've already given away a whole bunch of them. So if you want a good guitar stand, it's not a good stand, it's a cheap one, but it'll hold your guitar. I use them all the time. Have them almost in every room and corner and crack and cranny. So I'm going to send you out one free. If you want one, inbox me, say I want the stand, and if you're the first person to do that, I'll get your mailing address and stuff and get you one in the mail. You need some way to support your guitar when it's not resting in your lap. So thanks, folks. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. Stay out of trouble. Take care. These are old. Well, they're several years old. It's been like 5 years since I've really done any serious hunting. But I need more walls to put my kills on, I guess. Anyways, just thought I'd show you that. Great outdoorsman. Has been. Used to be. Cheers.